Hello everyone, myself Deepa Singh, working as assistant professor in Gyan Vihar School of Pharmacy, SGVU. Today we discuss about renal excretion and factor affecting this renal excretion. Already previous lecture we already discussed different compartmental modeling, including one compartmental model and different subtypes of these compartmental model. So today we discuss about how the excretion takes place through kidney or by kidney. Only we discuss about renal excretion, and the remaining route of excretion we discuss in the next lecture. And some factor that is responsible for excretion or show improper excretion, or maybe another problem like maybe patient related or disease state or maybe particular drug related problem. So all these factors are we discuss in this lecture. It's a topic of biopharmaceutics and pharmacokinetic subject, sixth semester subject. So before starting this topic, you should know about some basic object or learning object of this topic. These are the learning object. And this learning object is introduction of the renal excretion. First, you know about what is renal excretion and general introduction about the renal excretion. So if you don't know about the what is renal excretion, then it's difficult to understand how this renal excretion takes place. So first, basic is introduction of this renal excretion. Next is a different parameter required. Which parameter is required for renal excretion and how these renal excretion takes place. It is a similar for all type of the drug or maybe specific for a specific drug. So different parameters required for this renal excretion of the drug. Next is mechanism of renal excretion. There's a different steps required for this renal excretion mechanism or renal excretion. So in this, you should know about the different steps or different mechanism of these renal excretion, how these renal excretion takes place, and different factors affecting renal excretion. What are the factors, and maybe the subcategory or subparts of these factors that affect renal excretion or renal rate of excretion of your drug. So in this, you should know about all these factors, and not only a list of these factors, but also the procedure or mechanism, how these factors are responsible to affect the renal excretion and how affect this renal excretion. So this is a learning object that you should know before starting the lecture. These are the common topic of this excretion process. So now we start. And this mainly contains our introduction and renal excretion of a drug. In renal excretion, we also include some factors that affect the renal excretion. Now, first is introduction part. In the introduction part, drug elimination refers to irreversible removal of a drug from your body by all routes of elimination. Means when we take the drug, there's no chance that complete drug get absorbed at particular site or in your body. Then maybe chances that somewhat drug or maybe little amount of the drug or maximum drug get excreted out through your body without showing an effect. It may be changed form or maybe unchanged form. So the drug is removing from your body or excrete out to your body is irreversible process. These amount of drug not responsible to showing the effect of drug in your body. And these excretion takes place from all routes or different routes, not only from kidney or by the renal route. Many routes are responsible for this excretion of a drug, and it's an irreversible process. And drug elimination is usually divided into two major components, that is excretion and biotransformation. Means these elimination is further divided into two parts. One is metabolism and next is biotransformation. Not metabolism, one is excretion and second is biotransformation. Biotransformation is also known as metabolism. That we already discussed biotransformation or metabolism. In this we've discussed phase 1 and phase 2 reaction. So this elimination is further divided into two parts or two categories. One is excretion, second is biotransformation. And excretion is divided by renal excretion and non-renal excretion of the drug. Now you understand that elimination divided in two parts, that is excretion and biotransformation. Now in this lecture we discuss about excretion or renal excretion. So we mainly focus about this renal excretion or excretion through kidney. So excretion is not only takes place through kidney, but also different routes also. But majority of excretion takes place by renal route. That's why we are studying these renal excretion, and remaining route through the excretion takes place is known as non-renal excretion of the drug. Means these excretion is divided into classes: excretion of the drug through renal route or non-renal route of excretion. Now it's a diagram of renal excretion or your kidney. In this, there's two renal, and this one is renal artery. This part is a renal artery, and this part is known as cortex. And this inner part is known as medulla. It's a transverse section diagram, or it's a normal outer appearance of your kidney. And this is your medulla. Inside and outer part is cortex. And this is a right kidney, and this one is left kidney. Here's your uterus part, and here's renal pelvis, this part, and renal vein is this, and renal artery is next one, this one, and renal vein is just below one. So this is a diagram of your renal, and through this filtration is takes place, or drug is excreted out your kidney and comes in your uterus, the direction of a urine flow, and through this urine bladder or this urine flow, the drug get excreted out through this renal excretion route. Now in this drug metabolites, mainly water soluble, non-volatile, small molecular size, metabolize slowly. These are the compound or drug or molecule which are easily metabolized or easily excreted out through kidney. In this, we mainly include drug those who are water soluble or very easily water soluble in nature, can easily excrete out through kidney. And next is non-volatile in nature. If a drug is volatile in nature, then there may be chances that it excrete out by other route or other than renal route, or maybe excrete very little amount. So if it's non-volatile in nature, then it is also excreted out through kidney. Next is small molecular size. If a drug have a molecular size is small or small molecular size, then it also excrete out through kidney. Next is metabolized slowly. Those drugs who are not metabolized slowly or don't get metabolized in your body, those drugs are excreted out through kidney. And next is basic function unit of kidney. In kidney, there's a number of nephrons are present. You know that what is a nephron, and in this kidney there's a millions of a number of nephrons are present, and these nephrons are responsible to filtering out or main function of a kidney, or you can say that main function play or important role play these nephron in your kidney for excretion of drug, water, or anything else. So in this major unit that helps or maybe functional unit present in kidney is nephron, and it's present in millions. Almost each kidney have 1 million nephron, means approximate almost 1 million present in each kidney, and both kidney have approximate 2 millions or more than 2 millions of nephron. Now it's a structure of renal excretion of the drug or kidney. These are the medulla that are present inside this kidney, a small in size. And these one is cortex that are showing one lining or hair-like structure. And this outer appearance is known as capsule. This part is known as capsule. Next is renal pyramid. This pyramid-like structure is known as renal pyramid. And next is papilla. Papilla is this one, this gap. And this interlobar arteries is this or this between the cortex or different cortex. There's arteries are present, and these arteries are known as interlabral arteries. Next is arcuata arteries. These one or these gap is known as arcuata arteries. And next is interlobular arteries. These are interlobular arteries, or these gap is known as interlobular. And next is segmental arteries. So segmental arteries are here. This is known as segmental arteries. And the next is column of Vatten. This one is a column of Vatten, this gap. And in this side, there's a minor cortex, sorry, calyx. Minor calyx is this one, the small part, and major calyx is this larger part. This one is minor, and this is larger one or major calyx. And this is a renal artery. It goes through this, and this one is renal vein. And renal pelvis is this one. This one renal artery, and this is renal vein, and this one is renal pelvis, and this is your uterus. So this is the normal structure of kidney or renal, or having different parts in renal. Next is the procedure, how this renal excretion is takes place with the help of kidney. So it's a structure of excretion procedure, including nephron, how nephron helps to excrete out the drug to your body. And in this yellow lining show that these black lines show as reabsorption, means these amount of a drug not get excreted out, it get reabsorbed in your body and still present in your body and ready to reabsorb but not excrete out. Or this is symbol show that active secretion. So when we see that from here there is arterial supply, continue blood supply or artery supply is takes place through this. And you can see that this is the arterial supply and continued arterial supply is takes place. And quantity of this arterial supply is 1.2 liter per minute. This is too high, approximate 1.2 liter. Now arterial supply is takes place in single 1 minute. So it's too high. And this goes to this side. And here's a loop of Fanley. This is a loop of Fanley, and it circulated through this loop of Fanley. And here is your next part is venous return. So this part is your venous return, and next is your proximal tubule is this. And in this glomerular filtration is takes place with the help of this glomerular or glomerulus. In this quantity is approximate 120 ml per minute, means 120 ml in single minute that filter out through this glomerulus, and it shows this active secretion. So yellow lining means active secretion is takes place in this glomerulus, and quantity or amount of this glomerulus is 120 ml per minute or in a single minute. And this is your distal tubule where also active secretion is takes place in this distal tubule, and this is your collecting duct, and in this collecting duct also now active secretion is observed, and through this your urine get excrete out or excretion of a urine is takes place approximate 1.5 liter per day. This is the capacity of normal urine excretion. It may be enhanced or maybe reduced due to some disease state or uptaking of water content or any other fluid. But this is normal urine excretion condition or amount of urine excretion to your body. That is 1.5 liter per in a day. And in this loop of Hanle, there's a active secretion is takes place in this part. This is active secretion process, and this part is responsible for reabsorption. In this part, reabsorption is takes place of your drug or less chances of excretion of a drug to your body, because in this part reabsorption is takes place. And in this part is active secretion again takes place, and remaining is your proximal tubule part and venous return part. And this is your distal tubule, means renal through this renal excretion or through kidney normal excretion of a urine is 1.5 liter per day. And with the help of arterial supply, normal supply is 1.2 liter per minute. It's a too high or too fast procedure. And in through glomerulus or with the help of this glomerulus, there's a filtration is takes place, and through this glomerulus rate is approximate 120 ml per minute is takes place through this glomerulus. And this yellow part show the active secretion, and this black part is show that reabsorption. So this is about the renal excretion process or how the renal excretion is takes place with the help of nephron. Next is handling of a drug by nephron. How you handle these drug or handling of that particular drug with the help of these nephron. In this, there's water condition and one is drug condition. How there's a difference is absorbed. And the water condition, it does filter and 80% get reabsorbed, only 10 to 20% is reabsorbed or maybe ready to excrete out. Drug filtration is takes place, then secretion, then reabsorption. And in this, when we plot the graph, these graphs show one curve and then it gets decline, and so release slow rate or excretion is slow. But this is rate is known as filtrate rate or filtrate flow, because here is one peak is formed or more concentration is observed. And this is your blood flow, which is rapidly decline, and this is your glomerulus part where the excretion takes place largely and blood concentration is also high. And next is proximal tubule. And this you can say that excretion is more, but it little bit decrease or start decline in proximal tubule, but blood flow is also high. And next is distal tubule. There's completely decline of this elimination or excretion, but there may be little chances that it again show one peak or increase their concentration. Next is collecting tubule. In this collecting tubule, it again decline and blood flow is also very low. So in this axis, we are just taking flow rate in ml per minute, means how much ml in per minute it takes place. This is approximate 100 range, and below this there's a below 100, and between this is 100 to 1000. Means all these comes or excretion is comes in between the, you can say, starting from 40-50 to between 150 or up to 500 also. But blood flow is too much high. It's approximate more than 1000, and it's approximate 1000. And in this, more excretion is takes place through this glomerulus, or glomerulus is responsible to excretion of a drug or maybe water through kidney. And proximal tubule is also responsible for excretion. Both these two are major excretion is showing or responsible of majority of excretion is takes place through this glomerulus and proximal. Next, in collecting tubule and distal tubule, in this there's decline of excretion rate, or between this there may be chances that it have so one small little bit or small increase of this glomerular filtration or not excretion rate of the drug as well as water. And when we drink water, it approximately 80% reabsorbed, only 10 to 20% get exhaled out. In this, not 10 to 20% completely, but there may be chances out of this, there may be some amount get reabsorbed through this kidney, and this is amount in percentage of your drug as well as your water. And this is a part of kidney, how or through which part these excretion is takes place, or how much excretion it takes place through that particular part or this particular tubule. Next is renal excretion of the drug. And this principal procedure for this renal excretion, of these are the steps which show excretion or helps to excretion of the drug through these kidney or through these renal. And this first step is glomerular filtration. Means in the through these glomerulus or with the help of this glomerulus, filtration takes place, and this step is known as glomerular filtration rate or glomerular filtration. Next is active tubular secretion. In this active tubular process takes place and secretion is observed through this active tubular part. Next is active or passive tubular reabsorption. Means after filtration, there is active secretion is observed. Then reabsorption takes place, and this reabsorption is known as active or passive tubular reabsorption. Now we discuss these three subtypes or three steps of excretion one by one. In this glomerular filtration, it is non-selective, means not selected for a particular drug. This is a non-selective for this glomerular filtration, or by this glomerulus, non-selective type of the drug get excreted out or filtered out. And next is unidirectional, means it also don't show any bidirectional procedure or don't flow any other direction. It show only single direction. That's why it's known as unidirectional excretion, or glomerular filtration is unidirectional. And next is ionized and unionized drug filter. Means both ionized as well as unionized drug get filtered out through glomerulus with the help of this glomerular filtration. Is both ionized and unionized drug also filtered, not a specific amount of drug only filtered through this glomerulus. Both ionized and unionized get filtered. Next is except plasma protein and blood cells. Means obviously this is a condition because it's also a body parts, or you can say body fluid. So plasma protein and blood cells are not filtered out through this glomerular filtration. Otherwise, it's a non-selective process. Any type of the drug, maybe ionized or unionized drug, can get easily filtered out. But there's some condition in this, except those type of compound like plasma protein, blood cells are not filtered out through this glomerular filtration. Next is promote retention of anionic drug. Means it also promote, or this glomerular filtration also promotes some drug, and this retention promote is mainly of anionic drug or anionic nature of the drug. And in this driving force is hydrostatic pressure. And so you can see the air driving force, which is responsible for glomerular filtration or hydrostatic pressure, is your driving force or mainly responsible for this glomerular filtration. And 25% of cardiac output, almost 25% of the cardiac output, it takes place through this renal excretion of a drug. And in this 25% of cardiac output is 1.2 liter per minute is absorbed, and 10% of filter. Out of this 100%, 25% is cardiac output, and amount or volume is 1.2 liter in 1 minute or per minute. And in 10% filtered rate, volume is 120 to 130 ml per minute through this glomerular filtration rate, or filtration is through this glomerular site. And filtration rate is approximately 120 to 130 ml per minute. And this glomerular filtration rate is estimated by using creatinine, inulin, mannitol, sodium thiosulfate. These are the examples that you can estimate easily how much drug is filtered out through this glomerulus or glomerular filtration rate. So these glomerular filtration rate or GFR is estimated by using some like creatinine, inulin, mannitol, or sodium thiosulfate type drug. Next, second part or second type of this renal excretion is tubular secretion. Means after this filtration, active secretion takes place, or after this renal secretion, or not renal secretion, glomerular filtration, active secretion is also. In the active secretion, carrier mediated transport, means this secretion process is observed by carrier mediated process or with the help of carrier mediated mechanism. Some carriers are required for this secretion. Without carrier, this renal secretion or excretion is not possible. And next is energy required. Obviously, carrier mediated, then some energy is also required for this secretion. Without energy or without any carrier, it don't show any secretion or don't observe any type of the secretion in this tubular secretion procedure. Means energy as well as some carriers are required for this renal excretion. Next is again concentration gradient. Means some concentration gradient is also observed, or showing some concentration gradient effect, or drug is passes from higher concentration to lower concentration, maybe lower concentration to higher concentration. So it is also concentration gradient. And two active tubular secretion method. And this these tubular secretion is further divided into two category or two methods how the secretion is takes place. So this is also divided into two secretion methods. And this secretion of organic acids and amines. Next is secretion of organic base and cations, means both acidic as well as basic drug, cationic and anionic drug are secrete out through this active tubular secretion. So it is divided into two parts, anionic and as well as cationic secretion. When we see the secretion of organic acid or anions, so in this mainly example are like uric acid, salicylic acid, penicillin, and sulfate type of the drug that excrete out through this organic acid and anions. Means these type of drug that easily secrete out or easily excrete out through this active tubular secretion. So example of anionic or acidic drug is uric acid, salicylic acid, penicillin, and sulfate. More than this, some other drug is also get secrete out through this. And next type is secretion of organic phase or cation. Means some basic drug. And this basic drug example is like endogenous amines and morphine. These are the basic drug which are excrete out or secrete out through the active tubular secretion. So the secretion procedure for organic base as well as cation in this example is endogenous amines and morphine. And both systems are bidirectional, non-selective, independent of each other. Means you can say that these acidic secretion or basic secretion are not similar to each other. They are bidirectional, or they have opposite direction and not easily secrete out in a single direction. So these are showing bidirectional as well as non-selective, don't get mixed up of anionic and cationic drug. There's a non-selective type procedure as well as independent to each other, not get meet at specific point, or they are individual or independent to each other, and flow at bidirectional as well as non-selective, both anionic and cationic drug. Means they are not interrelated to each other. They are just opposite for individual or to each other. And it requires some carrier as well as energy for transporting of a drug, or showing the secretion of a drug by this active tubular. And next, in this active tubular secretion, it is unaffected by change in pH and protein binding. Means if any changes is occur or show observed in pH as well as protein binding, then in this condition it's not affected or unaffected condition. It don't affect any secretion effect or active secretion effect. It's still in a normal condition. If it change any pH condition or plasma protein condition. And next is it is dependent on renal blood flow. Means this secretion is mainly depend on blood flow, how much blood flow is takes place or how it takes place. So this active tubular secretion is depend on renal blood flow rate, and STS can be measured by this active tubular secretion can be measured by using para-amino piperidinic acid. Hence, this is one of the example. With the help of this para-amino piperidinic acid, you can easily measure how much active tubular is takes place. Next is filtered and secreted 600 to 700 ml per minute. And this is a normal rate that is how much secret or filtered through this active tubular secretion, that is 600 to 700 per 600 to 700 ml in a single minute or per minute is observed for filtration and secretion rate. That is 600 to 700 in a single minute. And next is proximal tubule lesion of a nephron. We already see that nephron structure, and the nephron is a proximal tubule is not takes place in this nephron region. There's one part is known as proximal tubule, and this active tubular secretion is mainly takes place only in proximal tubule region, or you can say that this secretion is majorly observed in a nephron in a proximal tubule region part. Next is probenecid plus penicillin. This is an example, or when we take the combination of probenecid and penicillin, then it decreases tubular secretion of a penicillin. Means less secretion of penicillin is observed compared to probenecid, and more secretion is absorbed of penicillin. And when we take the penevensid plus nitrofurantoin for UTI infection or UTI purpose, in this probenecid and nitrofurantoin, when it takes in a combination, it decreases the secretion of both drug, or don't get secrete in too fast, less secretion is observed. Next is when we take the probenecid, inhibit reabsorption of a uric acid. Means when we take only one single drug, that is probenecid, and these probenacids individually when we take, it helps to reabsorb or not helps to, but inhibit the reabsorb or showing reabsorption process stops of uric acid. So these are the some condition according to drug. Means drug to drug, the secretion rate is vary or maybe increase or decrease. It may be show more secretion through or less secretion through this active tubular secretion due to some drug or different class of the drug. We already see this one is example. So when I said in penicillin or with nitrofurantoin or single probenecid, it shows three conditions in each and every drug contained. And with penicillin, decreased secretion of penicillin. With nitrofurantoin, decreased secretion of both drug. And when we take only single probenecid, then it inhibits reabsorption of uric acid. So these are the condition or different drug condition of active secretion, how it takes place through this active tubular secretion part. And majority of your proximal tubule of nephron is responsible for this secretion, and amount is 600 to 700 ml per minute secretion takes place. Next, in this active tubular reabsorption, means some molecule or some drug gets reabsorbed due to their nature. So these are the example how the reabsorption takes place in this active tubular secretion. And this glucose is one of the examples which get easily reabsorbed through this active tubular secretion. And next is glomerular filtration rate less than 120 ml per minute is observed during this reabsorption, because less amount of drug excrete out and less filtration takes place, and volume is approximately 120 ml per minute. And this is a two type, that is active process and second is passive process. Means the secretion is again divided into two categories. One is active and second is passive process. And active process is endogenous material, or you can say that in active process endogenous compound or drug are mainly involved for this active process. An example of this endogenous material in active process is glucose, uric acid, electrolytes, vitamins, and amino acid. These type of the drug that can easily reabsorb by the help of active process, or these are the example of endogenous material. Next, in this passive process is exogenous materials including, means in active mainly endogenous material we study, or we include endogenous material in this amino acids, proteins, or these type of the molecule. And next is this passive process is exogenous, means active is endogenous and passive is exogenous material include for this reabsorption. And in this exogenous materials including driving force concentration gradient developed by back diffusion or reabsorption of water along with electrolyte. Means the driving force concentration is involved in this gradient developed from back diffusion or reabsorption of water along with electrolytes, which takes place. Next is determinant. In this lipophilicity, polarity, ionization is mainly observed, or you can say that lipophilicity or polarity of ionization are the major that is responsible for this reabsorption. Next is a factor. In this factor, pH of the urine, pK of the drug, and urine blood flow are the some factor that responsible to affect this passive process, or proper reabsorption is not takes place due to this factor. Maybe affect pH of the urine as well as pK of the drug and urine flow rate. And next in this urine pH derives from 4.5 to 7.5. Its normal urine pH is acidic or maybe in neutral condition, that is 4.5 to 7.5 is a normal urine pH, and depend on the diet, unit intake, and pathophysiology. This is a normal condition of the pH, but these pH will vary or may show some changes. So this is depend on what you're eating or uptake of your diet as well as pathophysiological condition. If he or she suffering from any disease or some pathophysiological problem, in this condition, this pH of urine is also vary or maybe get changed. And next is carbohydrates food increase urinary pH. If you are taking some carbohydrates food or carbohydrates containing food, then in this condition pH get increased or it show more neutral and alkaline pH. And if you are taking protein food, then decrease urinary pH. It just opposite. Carbohydrate type food increase or protein food decrease the pH range. Next, when we see the drug, acetazolamide, sodium bicarbonate, alkaline urine. So means if you are taking acetazolamide or sodium bicarbonate like drug, then it show alkaline pH range of your urine, alkaline pH. In this alkaline pH, drug responsible urine is acetazolamide and sodium bicarbonate. And excretion of the drug depend on lipophilicity and pK of the drug. Not only nature of the drug, but also their lipophilicity and dissociation constant, that is pK of the drug, is also main responsible factor to changing the urine pH. Next is a weak acid and base polar drug reabsorption independent of urine pH excretion. Means only weak nature of the drug, including acidic and basic, don't affect this urine pH, and it is independent for reabsorption and excretion. And weak acid is pKa more than 8, and base is pK is less than 6, and non-polar drug, that is ionized at urine pH, is easily reabsorbed. And strong acid and base, that is ionized, all pH get excrete out. Means if it's strong acid or strong base, then all type of pH get easily excrete out. Otherwise, some weak acid or weak base, there's some condition is changed or it can reabsorb. Acidic pK is 3 to 8 and basic pK is 6 to 12. In this reabsorption depend on the pH. So these are the pK condition of pH range of for acidic and basic drug, where the reabsorption is depend on the pH condition of your drug. Next is urine flow. In this, polar drug is reabsorption unaffected by urine flow. Means if you are taking polar drug or polar nature drug, then it show unaffected condition or don't affect your urine flow rate. And in this, mainly reabsorption is unaffected condition by urine flow. And next is drug with reabsorb in this pH sensitive or irreversibly proportional to urine flow. Means these urine flow also change when you are taking some type of which drug which get easily reabsorbed or pH sensitive. Then in case of pH sensitive drug, these urine flow is also inversely proportional. And next is urine flow increased by forced diuretics. Example in this forced diuretic is mannitol. Means more or maybe less urine flow is observed when you are taking mannitol type of the drug or forced diuretic type of the drug. And in this renal laxation, next is relationship between renal clearance and mechanism of clearance. How this renal clearance takes place and the mechanism. In this, if clearance is in ml per minute and clearance ratio of a drug to creatinine. Next is mechanism of renal clearance, and next is example. In this, clearance in ml per minute is 0 and creatinine is 0. And mechanism is drug filter and we absorb completely. An example is glucose. And if this clearance is less than 130, then the creatinine ratio is above 0 and below 1. And drug filter and reabsorb partially. And drug example is lipophilic drug, mainly this Coxo. And next is clearance is 130 and creatinine ratio is 1. And drug is only filtered, and example is creatine. And if its clearance rate is 130 ml per minute, then drug creatine ratio is less than or more than 1, or the mechanism is drug filter and secrete. And in this example is polar ionic drug. And if clearance is 650, then clearance ratio of creatine is 5, and mechanism is clearance of renal plasma flow rate. And example is pH. And then clearance ratio is equals to clearance of the drug divided by clearance of the creatine. This is a formula how to calculate this clearance ratio or renal clearance of the drug. We just take the ratio of clearance of the drug and how much drug is cleared out divided by clearance of creatine. Next is factor affecting the renal excretion or renal secretion. So there's a different factor that affect this excretion rate or showing improper excretion or large or less excretion. So different factor that affect the renal excretion. In this factor, first is physicochemical property of the drug. In physicochemical property of the drug, there's different factors, maybe molecular weight, pK, lipid solubility, or stereoselectivity. We already see the previous slide that which type of the factor is required for good excretion or easily reabsorption. So there's maybe molecular size is also responsible for improper excretion. And this mainly smaller than 300 Dalton or approximate 300 Dalton molecule can easily excrete out or pass through this excretion or renal excretion. Next is pK. This dissociation constant is also very important. And this mainly you can say that those drugs who can easily dissociate and in this condition easily excrete out through this renal. Next is lipid solubility. Means these lipid solubility is another factor. If your drug is lipid soluble in nature, then it's difficult to excrete out. There may be chances that it reabsorb or showing some secretion problem because it's lipophilic in nature. But if we are just taking example of opposite drug, means water soluble drug, then it can easily excrete out. For lipophilic drug, it shows some limitation. Next is the stereoselectivity. Stereoselectivity is also another factor that is responsible if the drug showing some levo rotation or dextro rotation. This rotation may also affect the excretion of a drug to your body. Next is plasma concentration of a drug, means how much drug is present in a plasma concentration of a drug. This is divided into 3 parts. In this, first is drug excreted by filtration, means how the filtration takes place or how much drug is filtered out to this filtration procedure. Next is filtered plus reabsorb, hence how much get filtered out, and out of this filtered out, how much it again reabsorbs. So this next third condition is filtered plus secretion, means filtered as well as secrete out. So this is a graph for PDF or plasma concentration drug curve and versus rate of excretion. This is a 3 value. In this, first is drug excreted by filtration. Means complete drug is excreted out by filtration. It just showing straight line or increase amount. And second is filter plus reabsorb. It's first increase and then at the small peak is or curve is also. Then start decline for this filtered and secretion rate in third level. And for second level, it again increase and first start to decrease and a small peak is observed, then start increasing. And just opposite to third for filtration and reabsorption rate. Second and third one is just opposite, and but in forced excretion by filtration, it show more increase amount or straight increase in curve. So this is a factor. Other than this factor, some other factor is like distribution and binding of the drug. So distribution and binding of the drug is also a responsible factor. How much drug is distributed out in your body, and after distribution, how much drug is bind with particular tissue, organ, or any other thing. And in this, clearance is inversely proportional to volume of distribution. Means it's inversely proportional. You can say that how much drug is cleared out is not dependent on how much volume is distributed. It's inversely proportional to volume of distribution. And if drug present in blood compartment have a high excretion, means if your drug present in blood compartment or in the blood, then you can say that more excretion or high excretion is observed due to presence in blood. Next is protein bound drug not filtered and micromolecules show long half-life. Hence, if your drug is in protein bound in nature, and due to this protein bound in nature, it not easily filtered out for micromolecule type of the drug and show long half-life. And next is active secreted drug has a little effect of a binding, not affect this binding, or little effect to binding. And next is influence of urinary pH. Urinary pH is also independent and not influence your urine pH. And next in this factor is blood flow to kidney. How much drug is flowed to kidney or to this renal is also one responsible factor that maybe affect this excretion rate. In this, glomerular filtration rate and active secretion is affected condition, and perfusion rate is limited for this blood flow to kidney. Next is biological factor. In this, some patient-related factor is also responsible for excretion. If we are taking example of female, then 10% less than male, less excretion takes place compared to male in females. And newborn is 30 to 40% less than normal adults. In newborn, it's also high, or 30 to 40% is less than normal adult, because there is no complete development of body. And the next is old age. In this, after glomerular filtration and tubular function, it is also depends on excretion may vary due to old age patient, or some glomerular filtration and tubular function is may vary. So these are the biological factors. Other than there is drug interaction. In this, alteration in protein binding, furosemide plus gentamicin. In this, clearance is increased and nephrocytic is observed, and clearance is more observed. In this, furosemide and gentamicin is example. Next is alteration in urine pH. In this, acidification alkylation is two responsible procedure are observed, and acidification is mainly for ammonium chloride ascorbic acid type drug that promote the excretion of a basic drug. And alkylation is mainly for citrate, titrate, and bicarbonate type of the drug, which promote excretion of acidic drug. And competition of active secretion. In this, probenecid and penicillin is mainly takes place, and forced diuretics is example of mannitol. So these are the factors that are responsible for the excretion. Other than the disease state, if he or she is suffering from disease, then in this condition, this excretion rate is also may vary. In this disease state, renal dysfunction, uremia, impaired glomerular filtration rate, half-life increase. So these conditions may also improve or maybe decrease excretion rate of your drug. After completing this topic, you should know about these learning outcome or basic outcome related to this topic. In this introduction of a renal excretion, what is the renal excretion? Complete description, difference parameter required for how these renal excretions takes place, some parameter according to different drug or condition of that drug. Next is mechanism of renal excretion, how the mechanism or three different procedures that is responsible for excretion of a drug. So you should know about all these three procedures or mechanism of these renal excretion. Next is a different factor affecting renal excretion, means what are the factor or different factors that are responsible for affecting these renal excretion or excretion rate of your drug. And these are the bibliography or reference. In this, D.M. Brahmankar and S.B. Jaiswal, Biopharmaceutics, Pharmacokinetics, Atrocity, Delhi, Bella Prakashan, 2010. Next is Jim Becker S.S., Brain B.J., Basic Pharmaceutics, London Pharmaceutical Press, 2009. Next is Sargil L. W. Pong, UABC, Applied Biopharmaceutics and Pharmacokinetics, MC Grove Hill, 2007. So these references are good. You can use anyone or maybe in a combination. Next is the question part, which is related to this topic. and based on this topic. And in this, biological barrier include all except renal tubule, cell membrane, capillary wall, and placenta. Next, in second question, the term biotransformation include the following: is the accumulation of substance in fat tissue. There is a binding of substance with plasma protein. C is accumulation of substance in tissue. And D is the physicochemical and biochemical. Third question, biotransformation of a drug is the random then. A is less ionized, B is more pharmacologically active, C is more lipid soluble, D is less lipid soluble. And fourth question, the drug type for which microsomal oxidation is most prominent. A is a lipid soluble, B is water soluble, C is low molecular weight, and D is high molecular weight. Next, in fifth question, stimulation of a liver microsomal enzyme can A is require the dose increase of the sum drug, B is require the dose decrease of the sum drug, C is prolong the duration of action of the drug, and D is the intensity of unwanted reaction of the drug. Next, in sixth question, elimination rate constant is defined by the following parameter: A is the absorption rate or rate of absorption, B is the maximal concentration of substance in plasma, C is the highest single dose, and D is the half-life. Next, in seventh question, systemic clearance is related with A, only the concentration of substance in plasma, B is only the elimination rate constant, C is the volume of distribution, half-life, and elimination rate constant, there is a viability and half-life. And in eighth question, if drug shows small volume of distribution, is it likely that some drug have A is have a short biological half, B is does not accumulate in various tissue and organ, C is not bioavailable, and this will not be active. Next, in ninth question, the biological half-life of a drug is a constant physical property of a drug. This is a constant chemical property of the drug, since it may be increased in patient with impaired renal failure, and D is it may be decreased in patient by giving the drug by rapid IV injection. In 10th question, the area under the serum concentration time curve of the drug represent is biological half-life of the drug, this amount of drug in original dosage form. This is the amount of drug absorbed, and D is the amount of drug excreted in urine. These are the 10 questions related to this topic or excretion of a drug. After completing this topic, you can easily answer these questions. So thank you so much for watching and listening this video. Thank you, everyone.